I think we are live.
Sweet. Yeah, I see we are live, guys. Man, once again, welcome back to another Spellborne stream. I love how we just been so consistent with these streams. And honestly, I think it's one of my favorite ways to kind of just connect, chat here with the audience today. But guys, like I just said, welcome back to another Spellborne stream. As always, co-host NFT Pasa, and I'm joined here as always with the legend himself, Ghosty. Ghosty, what's going on, brother? How are we doing today?
GM. Things are going well, and today has been particularly busy because have been in, I think, let me count, 6 meetings till now.
Wow.
So we were just preparing for actually preparing a lot of things, to be honest. But yeah, preparing for releases on iOS, Android, and other platforms, as well as preparing for the token, preparing for our marketplaces, preparing for a lot of things related to the token, to be honest. But yeah, super excited about the stream again. As always, we are trying to be consistent, not only with our with all the content and features that we ship, but also with our communication and all the things that come with it.
Absolutely, man. And hopefully we get some, bits and pieces of alpha here, with of course with the alpha you can share. But hey, nonetheless, really, really exciting. I think that's a lot of people were kind of just waiting on, when born, when token, right? So look, one thing I also want to first get into here, especially when it comes to the first couple minutes of today's stream, go see what are some updates from our last stream together to where we are today. Anything significant as far as key announcements, key information that we should share with the audience today?
So a few things. One is the first event in for this year has gone live. We started an event with the Beacon, the project with Treasure DAO, and players can collect orbs. They can compete battles and use those orbs to play the 2048 mini game. This is one of our most beloved events, so we're just bringing it back. And then after that, we are focusing on a few more things. That would be the creator stuff. So the first 200 creators have been approved, and they have received their codes, they have received their emails, and they can start creating content. They can share their codes. Anyone who uses a creator code, um, kind of they get, for every purchase they get like 5%, the creators. And in addition to that, they get store points. In addition to that, top creators get an in-game skin from time to time. So there are a lot of incentives for creators in our game. In addition to that, our Twitch rewards, or I would say Twitch drops, have gone live today. They will stay live for the next 7 days. So any content creators that are streaming the game on Twitch, any kind of players that are watching these streams, they will get rewards for it. They will get in-game rewards for just watching and supporting the streamers from time to time. So yeah, these are the two major announcements. I am forgetting quite a few, to be honest. So the new passes here, and then the iOS and Android builds should be live for public later this month. So a lot of things, yeah. But yeah, overall we have been shipping a lot of things. But yeah, this is kind of the TLDR of what has happened in the past week or so.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And it's actually even cool to see comments from the chat right now. I see the Twitch icon next to a lot of these usernames, and that says a lot, right? People are tuning in from other social platforms, man. So much love. I think one comment here says, "Game looks good. I will take some Twitch drops here." So yes, guys, definitely take advantage of that. But go see. I think one of the things I really want to hone in on today is kind of just observing once again, right? What we're seeing here in crypto gaming per se, and of course, really want to hone in as well on Spellborne and just kind of seeing what are the next kind of steps or activations that we have in front of us, right? But from the I guess beginning of this year, Goes, we've seen a lot of kind of this weird sentiment around crypto games where a lot of people are saying, liquidity is just rotating in and out of, these gaming coins, and sometimes that can mess with the mind share and interest of things. But I'm curious, Ghosty, from your perspective, right? How do you kind of see all of that kind of coming together today? And, what does that mean for Spellborne? Or does it even affect Spellborne, right? Ghosty, what are your thoughts there?
I mean, it does affect the game itself, and the market, of course, has its effects on games, even though the tokens are related to the product and not a lot to the speculation part at the moment. So, if we talk about what the market has been looking till now, to be honest, there's nothing that anyone can kind of say with certainty what will happen next. There has been something new almost every single day, and the market has been jumping almost up and down. And I would say there are a lot of traders. There are a lot, like a huge bunch of traders that are kind of staying out still, because they are still uncertain about what's next. Of course, there are a group of traders that are taking advantage of this, because when there is uncertainty, you make the most, like the biggest packs, because there is a lot of risk. And with Trump coming in, with the all the changes that are going live related to the tokens in USA, those are also affecting almost every single project in the Web3 space, because now you're looking at US being more open towards Web3, more open towards cryptocurrencies. And this would kind of also shift the face view that other countries have, and kind of open up the market to more users and bring in more regulations per se. And it does affects games to a larger extent, because now if we look at, if we look at the market, and if we look at the restrictions that games had before, and the game restrictions that games will have in the future, it kind of changes a lot of things, because now we can maybe implement a lot of the things that we couldn't before. As when we are working with a crypto game or a Web3 game in general, you have to pick out a lot of things. You have to, I can't add this, I can't add that, because it has a lot of legal implications. So you have to keep a lot of things in mind. But with kind of the government having a softer approach towards the Web3 market, it kind of changes a lot of things. It kind of, I would say, is bullish in the long run. In the short term, it has been like up and down, with Trump launching his coin, and then all the tariff things that are affecting the market. But you kind of get the idea, because the market is so young that a small tariff announcement can affect the market to literally drop 10% within a single day. So I would say in the long term, it is bullish. In the short term, there is a lot of uncertainty, and it does affect games. It does affect tokens, any kind of tokens, in you know everywhere.
And this is again, goes to something that I've been paying attention to is AI gaming has also just been a huge part of kind of an evolving narrative. Um, Curious to know, first of all, like, what are your thoughts on that, like, duo alone, right? Will do you have ideas and plans to implement AI agents per se, or maybe just AI in general into Spellborn, right? Would love to hear your thoughts there.
Not in the short term, no. But
Mm.
there is one thing that players can implement, and we would be open to this. So when the guild tokens go live, that's basically a token that is very very similar to Pump Fund. That is very very similar to how these AI agent platforms work. Basically, you can attach a guild token to an AI agent, and that AI agent can manage the guild itself. So this kind of opportunity is available to players. But if it comes to AI agents, they are mostly implemented in our second title, not in Spellborn. And the second title per se, because it has a lot of autoplay elements. And that kind of game is very, autoplay elements are very very common in games that are popular in countries like China or Japan. So for that, for the second game, we do have certain implementations that we are working on for AI agents. But for Spellborne, in the short term, no. In the long term, players can implement their own AI agents in the game economy itself. But as always, when you look at our team, we don't like to jump from narrative to narrative. The AI agent narrative is currently active, and if it doesn't make sense, we won't really add that to our game. But as I've said, the example that I mentioned does work really really well with a game like ours. And any community members, any developers who are interested in you know building out agents and connecting them to guilds, they can feel free to do so.
And sorry, I think I just did a slight disconnect there, but I heard the majority of everything there. And I know you said it's not a short term thing, but definitely something to consider, right? And again, I think AI agents is probably one of the more interesting, I guess, things that kind of happen for gaming, right? And I was hosting a space yesterday. We were kind of discussing about this on how we would like to see agents, especially for like dungeons, right? We talked about dungeons and how maybe agents are more better suited for kind of a more a companionships type of thing versus like player versus AI, and Ghost, would love to hear your thoughts on this, considering that, I feel Spellborne is such a companion type of game where players start to get emotionally connected to their own monster, right? How would you kind of see the potential of maybe turning these monsters into agents where they become more, interactable in a sense that you can talk to them, you can connect with them, right? What are your thoughts on that?
A lot of community members have actually suggested similar ideas when it comes to these companions being more usable in the game itself. So, for example, uh, you know, since when we compare our game to similar Web2 titles, we have a lot of activities that are not available on those titles, and these activities can be grindy in the long term. And these activities can be like mining rocks, these can be fishing, these can be farming crops. And you could have these agents do it for you. You could have these companion monsters farm crops for you, for example. Then it makes you become more selective in the kind of monster you add as a follower, as they can carry benefits. But this is something that we are still trying to see if it you know would work in a way that it doesn't affect the economy in the long term. Because everything that we do, everything that we add in the game, we have to take care of the economy. We have to make sure that it doesn't kind of ruin the thing that we have built till now. And we have to take in a lot of different factors into account. But it is an interesting idea nonetheless. And I think it can work out for a lot of things present in the game itself. And as certain players, they love to play the game, but they do not like these chores, to be specific. Because when we talk about the feedback that we received regarding the game, it's that it looks pretty, it is fun, but it is a bit too grindy. And it is a bit too grindy in the sense that they have to farm crops. Until now they have been farming crops, but next they have to mine rocks, they have to catch fish. So there are a lot of things for the player to do and choose. And currently we are reworking a few of those mechanics. And few of those mechanics, one of them being leveling up your monsters. Because when we talk about leveling up your monsters right now, it's a very very grindy. Like we increased the level cap for our monsters in a previous update. So it went from level 21 to level 36. And for some of these monsters, you need like insane amounts of experience. And it becomes like at least 4 to 5 hours of work just leveling a single monster. So we're reworking that. We are reworking our farming system a bit more, adding newer things like fertilizers. And even after those updates, if the community feels that we need certain companions that kind of automate certain tasks when they are not playing, we can possibly discuss that. And in that sense, agents can fit perfectly. And for us to integrate agents, it's very very easy. Like since our game is mostly built in JavaScript, and these agent frameworks and all the code is written literally in JavaScript or Rust, uh, you can easily integrate these into our game. And I would say in the short term, again, we do not really have any plans to add agents to Spellborne. We do have plans to add agents to Guardians of Celestia,
Mm.
because that has a lot of use case for them. And yeah, that's mostly it from my side.
Yeah, no, man, I love it. I love it. Again, really, really well said. And I personally would just want to see how ages kind of evolve with games in general. And I think this might be the next big thing. And look, I want to give a shout out to everyone here once again, for, rallying in here in front of the screen. Shout out to people here in the chat as well. And Ghosty, as far as that when it comes to Spellborn, right? Now that we're kind of approaching the middle of Q1, right? Are there any particular, KPIs or goals that you're trying to hit before this quarter ends? Or, is there something more catered down the line that, maybe you can share a little bit about?
So in terms of KPIs, our goal is actually to bring users from Web 2. So in the short term, our goal is to just finish up everything for open markets, have open markets ready. And then our goal is something that, not I don't think any Web3 game has tried this before, but we want to do a vampire attack on Web2 games. Similar Web2 titles, bring users from those, extract users from those games, because when we talk about the users that have already come into our game, so for example, a good amount of players have come in from Poke MMO, and they have been trying out the game and they like the game. And the best part is, so I'll explain one simple thing about Poke MMO or similar games. Most of the users that are banned from those games are because they are trying to trade those Pokemons outside the game for real world money. It's basically they are losing those players just because they want to do a certain action that is allowed in a game. As simple as that. And we are able to target that audience. We are able to bring in those players on the Web2 side. So for us, we have been preparing a lot of content for our Web2 marketing. We have been preparing a lot of things for our Web2 marketing. In the short term, I would say in terms of KPIs, there are certain user count KPIs that we want to reach before TGE, and we are working towards that. Adding all the creator stuff, bringing the game in front of more players organically. And in terms of next steps, our goal is to bring more guilds into the game. We have been actively in certain conversations with bigger guilds that are present outside our game, bringing them into our game and reach those user KPIs, and then do the TG, have an open market. And after that, we have KPIs for our open markets, because the best selling point for our game would be the secondary market. When someone is grinding the game, when someone is playing the game, they find a monster, and the best selling part for our game would be that they are able to sell that monster instantly if it has a good amount of value, and it generates value based on what stats it has, or what kind of rarity it has. So there will be those stories where a certain player played for maybe a 2 or 3 days. They have been playing for 2 or 3 days, and all of a sudden they find a really good monster that they have been able to sell instantly. And those kind of stories that I want to create with Spellborn. And the
Mm.
best selling point, or the best part of this game is yet to come. And with the token launch, it will only be the beginning, because when we talk about tokens in other titles, other games, it's only the utility of buying certain items in the game, or buying certain chests in the game. While inside Spellborn, it kind of acts as a very, very premium currency, which kind of empowers the guild tokens. And I would just give an example that Pump Fun has generated over $500 million in revenue, and it has caused a good amount of soul to be locked. So, you know, the guild tokens are basically Pump Fun plus DAOs. Any guilds that create a token inside the game, they will be generating value for the guild, but they will be also generating value for our token as well. So in the short term, I would say that we have certain user KPIs to reach, but in the long term, our KPIs are mostly related to the marketplace volume that we generate and the prices that we generate for the monsters in our game.
I love this. And this is the type of stuff again where I want more game devs to really hone in on, especially when it comes to creating like this flywheel effect of how can games from crypto really get out of this, bubble per se. And something I noticed too, Ghosty, not too long ago, 30 minutes, you guys announced that the first group of verified creators has been approved, right? Can we talk a little bit more about the creator program and how can people participate in this?
We have approved the first 200 creators. We have, I think, 130, more submissions at the moment. And the goal is simple. The goal is, we incentivize viewers to support creators. And for those creators, they stream the game because the best part of the game is, the gameplay itself. Like for us, it's either the economy or the gameplay. And for our game specifically, it's all about nostalgia. It's all about the pretty pixel art, and for that you have to visually sell it. And for us, we have been, whenever we post about the gameplay or a video about the gameplay, that's the best performing posts for us compared to our marketing tweets or any other tweets. And that says a lot. So what we want to do is we want to incentivize creators to put the game forward, bring it in front of our in front of more eyes. And for those, we are adding, this is the first line of incentives, that is the Twitch drops, where any viewer who is watching these Twitch streams that creators are doing for our game, uh, they get in-game item rewards from time to time. So creators get viewers, viewers get rewards, and creators also get their creator codes, which those, anyone who, if someone uses my code, any purchase that they make, 5% comes to me. And creators can do whatever they want with those rewards. And it's kind of the basic reward system that is very, very similar to how it works for Fortnite creators. So any creators that have not already participated in our ecosystem or have not already signed up, they can sign up on the official website monstudios.co/creators. They can submit the form. We will be approving the next batch of creators later this week. So any verified creators can then create content on Twitter, on any platform, and share their creator codes. The community can support them with those creator codes by making purchases, as well as these creators can now stream on Twitch. And any viewers that are watching those streams get incentivized because they get in-game items and they get gold nuggets, they get crystals, basically all the things that a regular player needs. So now it's up to the creators on how they perform. This is our first test, I would say, because this these Twitch drops will stay live for the next 7 days. We'll take in that data, we'll see how to improve upon that, and then we come up with our second set of incentives, which is going to be just doubling down and helping these creators reach more and more people. And this includes newsletters, this includes full tutorials on how to create content that is good, that sells to this kind of audience, as our team has a lot of experience with that. A lot of our team members have been actively participating in similar games and working with similar creators who have been creating content on the Web2 side. So I would say, any creators that haven't already signed up, they can sign up. This is open to anyone and everyone. You don't need to be a holder. You don't need to be, involved in the community before, but you can start from scratch and you can build out your own community with Spellborne, because everyone and anyone is welcome here to create content about the game. The game is, as always, built by the community and run by the community, because our marketing till now has been our community marketing it for us. And in future, with the guild system, with the creator system, we want to double down on this and help empower our community and creators with incentives, with rewards. And yeah, that's the basic crux of all of this.
Love that, man. And shout out to, I see the creators at least on the page, right? Shout out to people like Cairo. I saw his clip the other day as well. And it's actually really cool, right? And Gosi, just to kind of keep building a little bit more on top of this, right? When it comes to trying to onboard more I guess Web 2 creators, if that makes sense, people that are non-native crypto. What is the ideal flywheel effect that you want to achieve when it comes to just drawing their audience, using their platforms, just to kind of shed more light and raise more awareness around Spellborne?
So when we talk about those creators, the best part for those creators is that uh, primarily in this genre is that they're very very loyal to a single game. Like if they start streaming a single game, they will stream it for years. Most of the poke MMO creators have been streaming and building out their communities over the years. And when we talk about these kind of games where players are in a monster catching style MMORPG, most of the viewers, most of the players, they use these streams as tutorials, but also a background, kind of background effect, where players are playing the game and they watch these streams, they watch these videos in the background. And I've talked to a lot of Web2 creators who are involved in the Pokemon or Poke Rogue space, and they all tell the same story. And when we talk about working with these creators, when we talk about working on the Web2 side, our goal is to introduce these Pokemon players, introduce these Poke Rogue players one by one. And when we talk about the introduction, when we talk about the onboarding, we want it to be similar. Like they should feel that the game is familiar, but once they get into the game, once they start playing the game regularly, they'll understand the differences, they'll understand what kind of improvements the game has made on top of them. So for us, it is important that that onboarding is very very simple, and very very important that the game feels very very familiar for them. And based on the initial feedback till now, like there are a few Pokemon creators, or there are a few Pokemon players that we've brought in, and the feedback from them is exactly the same. The game feels familiar, but it is different. It has newer elements on top of it that make it more interesting. And all the Web3 elements, they love trading, and that the Web3 elements are just a bonus on top of it. So that's the main goal for us, that we want them to fall in love with the game, and then they see the Web3 elements as a bonus, instead of it as being a scam or something. So that's how we want to change the perception of these players. And till now, you'll see a lot of tweets that I've been retweeting as well, regarding the feedback that Web2 users have been giving regarding the game itself, and it has been very very positive. Be it on Instagram, be it on Reddit, be it on Facebook, be it on YouTube. And for us, that is what kind of tells us that we are moving in the right direction. Because when we talk about the token, when we talk about the economies themselves, uh, if you create a token around hype, the hype will die down. If you create
Mm.
a token around a product, even the hype dies down, the token will still have volume, it will still have a good amount of user base that will use it regularly, because they're using it for the sake of playing the game. They want to get more rewards in the game, they want to buy certain monsters that are that have good stats. And I think we have been able to successfully build out such a community that if you ask a lot of our community members, about if they care about the game in a way that they care about the gameplay itself more than the token, a lot of them will say yes. Like they're addicted to the game, they play it regularly, and they play it just for fun, they play it to be the best in the game, because they see potential. and they see that they can do well in the game. They like the game, they like the nostalgia, and they like all the features on top of it. So that has been our goal till now, and I think we have been able to achieve many great things, and now is just the first step. Once the open economy goes live, once the token goes live, it's all about bringing all those web2 users into the game itself, and they'll realize how good it is. And based on the initial feedback till now, it has been exactly what we've wanted.
Right. And I feel again, this is where we kind of see this big shift as far as attention goes. And even with abstract, right? I've been trying to dive a little bit more as far as like the gaming side of abstract. And it seems that there are many cases where it's going to be funneled through these L2s where games that are featured on these platforms are going to get a little bit of piece of that mind share, right? But Ghosty, when I look at Spellborne, I almost get like a you guys are in your own blue ocean, right? And I think that's a very strong uh I guess like way to position your brand and the game itself, right? Do you have any plans to I want to say bridge over, but more so, collaborate and even establish partnerships with some of these newer games or even these new L2s like Abstract? Anything similar along those lines?
We do. So I can't really share anything yet, but we are in multiple conversations, especially for our second game. If we talk about that, and we are going to make a lot of announcements in the future. But in the end, our goal is to bring in the best of Web 2 and Web 3, and this also brings in that kind of degen element with those on-chain tournaments, with all the guild stuff where players can just kind of speculate on the ability of different guilds. Like if I'm not even participating in the game, I can still trade tokens that are related to the game and provide value to it or take value from it. And that's the best part about our game. Like when we compare to most of the Web3 titles, you'll only see one or two assets that the players can speculate on, and the speculative elements are very less. But if we compare, what if we look at Spellborne itself, there is a lot for Web 2. Players come in, players play the game, they participate in these guilds. Now a Web 3 degen, a Web 3 speculator doesn't really play the games that often. Like their attention span is very short. They play the game for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and they can't really sit down for 10 minutes or more, and that's totally fine with us. What we want to do is we want to allow each and every type of participant to participate in the game economy, even though our main target is that Web 2 audience, even though our main target is to bring those Web 2 users onto Web 3 and kind of have those stories where Web 3 changed my life, or this monster I got within the first 7 days of playing the game, and this was this worth. We want to create those stories, but we still want to bring that degen element. We want to we want to work with multiple chains. And for Spellborne, it's a cross chain product, and you can already tell it is based on the amount of integrations that we do. If we were Avalanche native game, and we planned to just stay on Avalanche and just limit ourselves to the Avalanche ecosystem, then we only would have integrated Avalanche based NFTs. We did those. We also integrated NFT collections on Ethereum, and we also integrated NFT collections on Solana. For us, we want to work with multiple chains. The game economy will start on Avalanche. It will start, you will be able to mint monsters, you will be able to trade and everything, but it is a cross chain game. We will be working with multiple chains, and the best part is that players won't even realize which chain they're on, based on all the infrastructure that we've been working on with Sequence. This includes swapping the token without even knowing. So for example, I have 100 USDC on Ethereum, and I want to buy this monster in the game. I see the price in Bond. I click the buy button. The wallet converts everything for me. It purchases the monster for me, and I get the monster, and I still keep, the extra USDC or USDT. So I don't have to do any sort of Web3 transactions, and that's the best part about all the things that we've built over the past 2 or 3 years. Because for us, it was always about creating the best user experience. And whenever I give the game to a Web3 person, the feedback is always that the onboarding is so smooth. They don't even realize that it's a Web3 game. When we give it to a Web2 person, they don't even realize it's a Web3 game. But it is. In the background, it is. And it will always stay that way, because uh, you know we are game developers, but at our heart, we are still Web3 regions. We want the game to be successful in the economical side, and we want to give all sorts of players, holders, or any kind of whales, or any kind of user to participate in our economy. And this can be by holding guild tokens, this can be holding by the bond token, this can be buying the apartments and staking them for in-game items, selling them for bond. And it's all based on a game economy that is active. And I will say, I will give you an example of how active. So, season one airdrop, over 15% has already been spent.
Wow.
Now, if we look at 15% might seem a small number. Now, if we compare the actual numbers, so 15% equals to 1 million tokens. The total supply is 300 million. So
Wow.
one out of 300 has already been spent by the players in the game and within the single month, and there hasn't been any on-chain marketplaces available yet. There hasn't been any sort of burning mechanics available yet, where players are minting these monsters by spending bond. And you can imagine how active the game economy will be just compared upon this. Because when we look at our player base, there is a good chunk of players that are playing the game, that are grinding the game to be the very, very best. They are spending
Mm.
in the game, they are spending on items, they are spending, and they want to spend on monsters as well. So the game economy is very, very active. It will be very, very active. And it will be, the token launch will be just the first step for us, because after that, we have so much coming for the game economy. It's on-chain tournaments, marketplaces, guild tokens, and on-chain adventures, and so on. So, like, so many more things coming. And for us, it's very, very important that we work with multiple chains, we work with multiple NFT projects, and integrate them into our game. And that's kind of going to be the core content provider for us in the future. Like, once we are done with the basic mechanics of the game, then players can expect events, new event partnerships on a regular basis with any project that is launching on any chain. And I say any chain, and that's not limited to Ethereum. So, for example, Bear chain is going live tomorrow, or I think today. uh, any collection that launches there, they should be able to integrate inside Spellborne on day one.
Mm.
So those are the things that we are working towards. And till now, we have been able to build out that infrastructure and allow any sort of projects to get integrated into our game, and using those integrations to create more content. And it's a win-win for everyone, because those kind of projects, they get attention from our players. All of a sudden, they can, their NFTs, their name is in front of our player base. And they also get utility on day one. For us, we get more content for our players on a regular basis. Plus, we get a good chunk of eyes from those newer projects. And we've done this before, and it has worked out very, very well for us. And in future, it will be kind of, on a regular basis. Like any hyped project that is launching, we'll integrate them, and they bring in more eyes on the project. They get utility on day one. They get more active users who grind a lot. Like, if you talk about grinding for whitelists, that's something, that's on one level. Grinding a monster in Spellborn, it's another level. You have to give your soul, you have to give your time, you have to give your
Mm.
energy, because some of these monsters, they have one. I'll give you an example. So the on based on the XP count, one monster requires 24,000 XP to reach a level of 36, and
Wow.
you get about 6 to 7 XP per battle. Imagine how many battles that takes. So it's very very grindy right now, but in terms of our long term targets, that's what we want to do. We want to work with multiple chains, we want to work with multiple projects, and Spellborne needs to be, that's what my target is. Spellborne needs to be the social network where every different NFT collection can hang out, and that's why
Mm.
we are so open to these NFT integrations or monster integrations that we do, and they work very very well for us because the players like it, those NFT projects like it, and it brings us a good chunk of players on a regular basis.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And again, I feel the more chain agnostic you can be, I think that's how you maximize that mind share, right? And Ghosty, first of all, time is flying on today's stream, and I didn't realize 40 minutes have gone by here, but much love to everyone that's one showing up in game and also in the chat today. I saw a question: what blockchain is the game? We answered here. It's on AVAX, and I think for those that are interested, you guys definitely should check out Spellborne. But one thing too I want to keep expanding on when it comes to at least the chain topic side of things, Ghosty, is what does it mean for the social, like, I guess, side of gaming, right? Because I feel this is something that we continue to come back to, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on, do certain chains bring a different type of audience, or do you think when it comes to games alone that it's not about really specifically targeting certain type of audiences, but more so of just attracting the right user, making and that's regardless of wherever chain that they're coming from, right? Curious to know your thoughts on that, Gosi.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about different chains, they bring in different kind of users, and it's based on what kind of a culture that chain has. For example, a user from Solana would interact with our game differently compared to someone from Ethereum, and a user from Abstract would be different from a user from Bera chain, because Bera chain is all about stacking incentives and liquidity, and it is all about the token side of things, while Abstract is more consumer side. So the user that is coming from Abstract, he will be different from the user that is coming from Beora chain, and a user coming from, for example, Ronin would be different to a user that is coming from maybe Solana, and so on. So the users are different. They interact with the game differently, and that's why I mentioned that we want to open the game to almost all kinds of users. For example, if someone is a consumer, they need to have a good product to consume. And the game, for us, that has been the first focus, to build out a good game that is fun. And whenever a Web3 region who hasn't heard of our game, they play the game, they're like, how is this such a well built game in the Web3 space? And this sentence I've heard so many times. I can't tell you, like, it's so proactively said. And when we talk about the regions from chains such as Bera chain, where it's all about incentives, then it comes to or the Solana chain. It's all about the guild tokens. It's all about the in-game incentive models that we have created and will be implementing in the future. So different chains do bring different kind of users. They do bring different kinds of players, and it's up to them on how they are interacting, as this is an open ended economy. And based on how we have designed the game economy, it allows them to actually you know meaningfully interact with the game, rather than just holding NFTs and waiting for a pump and then dumping them. So it's very very different when it comes to users from different chains. And I think we will be able to target most of that audience, if not all.
Yeah, yeah. And like I love how you mentioned even with Solana, right? Solana has just kind of turned into this kind of casino-esque environment. And I think that, kind of reflects on the type of user that chain has, right? But yeah, and again, I know we're very, coming up here 10 on time, but um, based off what the chat is saying, I feel a lot of people just want to get updates when it comes to questing, right? And I know you guys also posted an update as well. I believe not two, I think 2 days ago, I believe, on just like very small updates. Ghosty, if you don't mind just going over those for the audience today, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 days ago, we pushed out a changelog that mostly covered fixes for the game and a few new releases. So, new Stellar Pass, the third PvP era has begun. It will stay active until 14th of Feb. The Beacon Orbs event with the Beacon project on Treasure DAO, a few fixes for the battle system, as well as increasing the level cap for players, as well as improvements for the daycare user interfaces, adding new support for creator codes, Twitch drops, and a boatload of moves. Like I think we covered over 40 new moves. Not all of them have been mentioned in the list, as for a few of them we are testing more. So we want to be sure that they're fully ready. Overall, that was for this change log alone. In terms of what's next for the players, so apartment staking is still in testing. I hate to say it, but still we're still testing it, and we want to be sure that everything is picture perfect before it goes live to public. Once that is ready, then players will be able to buy very, very rare items, very, very rare cosmetics. Basically, all the utility for apartments will almost be ready. We will still wait for tournaments. In addition to that, monster hordes are coming. We are adding support for multiple monsters in the battlefield. So you will be able to encounter up to 5 monsters at once. And this will kind of add a lot of difficulty to the game itself. That is currently in testing. Almost all the marketplaces are currently in testing. We have been taking feedback from the players, regularly discussing on what to add, what to remove. There is, we are working on new monsters, but that is not directly for the wild monsters. So I can't really share more than that regarding that. Uh, the mobile release for public will go live this month. Uh, just one or two major updates left for that, and then we'll push it live for public. So iOS and Android public release, while testing for Windows, Mac, Linux for holders will go live this month. So on Epic Game Store and maybe Steam. And what else? Let me check. So Guilds V2 is something that we are still working on. So we have closed down a few partnerships related to that, uh, that are not publicly announced yet.
Mm,
But the guild system is also in full flow. I would say we should be able to target and reach, all the feature deadlines of Q1 as well as Q2 on time. And when it comes to new content, so this is something that you will see regular players who are actively playing the game, who love the game, will ask. Like there are two types of questions these days being asked: more content or when TG. When TG, they're either
mm.
looking for the token or they're looking for open markets, because open markets will only come with TG. And a lot of these are either trying to buy new monsters or they want to sell their best monsters. So we're totally fine with that. But when it comes to new content, that will be for maybe Q2. In the short term, we are trying to finish up all our features and have the game infrastructure ready. And once that is done, then we will be shipping out new quest lines. So we already have like 3 locations pre-planned. 3 locations have been fully mapped, fully ready, added to the game, but we haven't really opened them up to our players just because the quests are not ready for those locations. So
Mm, mm,
Isogashi City, that is possibly our biggest map. We have had to divide it into 4 portions for it to be stable enough for low end devices, because it is so big. Then Isugashi Fields, that's another map where you'll find mostly, exotic monsters from time to time. It's just long, beautiful fields. And then Hidden Village, which is kind of one of the more important locations, which will introduce important quests related to guardians, related to kind of explore the lore more, the exact quests that players are waiting for. So all of these things have been developed already. Quest lines we are still working on, but they are low priority for us because we want to make sure that the you know markets open up as soon as possible, as we kind of announced or released a lot of features very early on. Like breeding has been live for many months now, and breeding would actually work perfectly with open markets, and all sorts of different things. So there are a few dissimilarities in the game at the moment, where certain features have already been pushed, but they work in tangent with other features that are not already live. And for us, our focus is to make sure that those features all are also pushed as soon as possible, so that the game economy kind of is able to sustain on its own, and we are able to focus on the content itself. But
Mm.
once we are done with the baseline of the features, then it's just content. We have content planned for at least 18 months from now on, and you can expect a lot of quests, a lot of locations, a lot of monsters, a lot of content, and this game will just keep on going and going based on what we have planned for it.
Yeah, man. This is again for those that are listening, man. I see a ton of fire emojis. People are, listening in. So, guys, don't forget. You just tune into these streams is all I'm gonna say, right? Just tune into these streams every single week, and just know that you're in for some alpha here. But Ghosty, man, thank you once as always for dropping the insight, dropping all the value you can here in today's stream. Is there anything that the audience or even people here that are watching today's stream that they should be looking forward to? Anything that you just want to mention last minute before we wrap up here?
Absolutely. So for this month, mobile release for public, Windows, Mac, Linux release for holders. So any holders who are looking forward to testing those, please keep an eye out for that. We are trying to get apartment staking, as well as on all the features related to Glory Store also live this month, as well as Hordes live this month. This would also improve performance of the battle system. So this should improve the performance of the game overall, as well as we are making a few major improvements to the UI, where it will use less resources on mobile. So the game will become much more stable. We will be ready for open economies and maybe the token, who knows.
Mm, man, token, man. I know everyone's talking about when TGE, when TGE. I love this. Ghosty,
they
thank
they
you.
don't realize how many things are being worked on related to the token in the background. It's insane. Like it's not only about launching the token. Like when we talk about the tokens in Web3 space, a lot of teams, they think of it like it's a payday, it's something
Hmm.
that they'll just make money from. For us, it's the opposite. We're just thinking like, now once the token goes live, our jobs are basically double. Now we have to provide utility, we have to make sure that the token does well in the game. And it's basically, if I was working 18 hours a day, now I have to work 36 hours a day, if that's even possible, because there's so much more to do. Token is basically a different product,
Mm,
separate product.
hmm.
And for us, it's important that we do it well, in a sense that it has a good amount of utility. 15% of the season 1 airdrop being burnt is good utility, and
Mm.
that is only with a single utility. Once monster minting goes live, once the marketplaces go live, uh, and so many more things that I can't really mention. I have to stop myself again and again. But there are so many things being planned related to the token, and we don't see it as a payday. We see it as our job that it does well,
Mm.
and we are making sure that it does well based on all the partnerships that we are working on, and all the integrations, all the utility that we are working on for the token, not in the short term but in the long term. 6 calls I mentioned, 4 calls were related to the token, 2 were related to the game infrastructure. So you can imagine how many things are being planned for the future, related to not only the token but the open economy, but the staking, but the apartment NFTs, but the monsters inside the game. There's so much being planned, and the players can't even imagine how much work is being put into the game on in the background. But yeah, in the short term, I'll quickly mention again, iOS and Android release for public, Windows Mac, Windows Mac, and Linux release for testing for holders. So apartment and monster holders will be able to test apartment staking. Maybe if testing is fully finished, then I will try to 100% launch it. And yeah, the rest of the things are with the token, like the marketplace and everything. So those don't really have a date if the token doesn't really have a date. But yeah, for
Right.
everything is being targeted for Q1. Everything is being targeted uh, to do well and work in tangent with each other. There are so many more things coming to the game in terms of content as well. So anyone who is playing the game regularly, the game will feel more comforting in the future, as in less grindy. But also there will be more opportunities to for you to make friends, as we are introducing a few features related to co-op, as well as improving the PvP leagues based on all the feedback that we've received. Right now we're just collecting feedback while side by side we're building new things.
Hmm.
But yeah, a lot of things are coming, and I don't think any of the players are ready for it.
Man, guys, this is I'm telling you, man, I don't know. I feel bad for people that don't know Spellborn at this point. But look, that's all gonna happen eventually. It's gonna naturally you know, grow on its own. And look, guys, once again, this has been a phenomenal, phenomenal stream. And as always, Ghosty, thank you so much for sharing all your insights, sharing, all the alpha that you can. Guys, this was a very special one, right? Especially within the last 20 minutes, there was a lot of things dropped without saying the full explanation, So take what you will, take what you can from what was just shared. But once again, Ghosty, thank you for, the past hour here. And to everyone here in the audience, man, thank you guys as well. You guys could have been at any other stream, other playing other, games, tuning into another space, but you guys chose this one. And that means a lot to myself and Ghosty here. But guys, with that being said, this will conclude today's Spellborn stream, Spellborn Live with Ghosty. And once again, if you're not following the Spellborn account, highly, highly recommend doing so. But guys, like I said, thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you guys at the next stream. All right, guys, have a good one. Cheers and peace out.